So about 9:28 a.m. this morning, we received an alert from the Johnston Police Department that there was a homicide in their town. We received information about the suspect vehicle and a description of the suspect as well, and his name. An off-duty Cranston police dispatcher was in a cemetery, St. Anne's Cemetery in Cranston, at which time he spotted the suspect vehicle and suspect. The suspect was seated in his vehicle at that time. Multiple Cranston police officers responded to the cemetery. When they arrived, the suspect drove at these police officers head-on towards their vehicles, nearly striking them. A pursuit took place after that incident with multiple Cranston police officers involved, as well as some members of the Providence Police Department task force. The chase went into multiple towns, including Providence, Cranston, and Johnston. It proceeded down here to Plainfield Pike, and as the suspect drove, he swerved at several police vehicles, striking a Cranston police vehicle. At some point, he was traveling the wrong way down Plainfield Pike. He was on the opposite side of the road. He also returned back to the right side of the road and jumped the center median shortly behind me. At some point, he lost control of his vehicle and he struck a rock where his car became disabled. Multiple Cranston police officers and a Providence police officer detective approached, formed a perimeter, and ordered the suspect out of the vehicle. This lasted a matter of minutes. The suspect eventually did exit the vehicle, brandishing a firearm, a handgun, which he pointed at the officers. At that point, the officers fired, killing the suspect. The suspect is identified as James Harrison, age 52, of 4 Ligian Court in Johnston. As in any officer-involved shooting, the Attorney General's protocol is invoked, and that's what's going on here now. So a multi-jurisdictional investigation is underway, involving all the departments that were involved, Providence, Cranston, as well as the Attorney General's office and state police. So that investigation is ongoing. This incident was captured on officers' body camera video, which we'll be reviewing as part of the investigation. There's also a bystander who was in a vehicle, and a detective was able to get her out of the vehicle and out of harm's way, and she also had videotaped this incident. So we do have multiple videos. Fortunately, and most fortunately, not a single officer was injured. They're in the process of being evaluated at the hospital, but no apparent injuries at this time. As you can imagine, it's a traumatic incident. There's a person that's deceased, and these officers did the best they could to protect themselves from the public, and I'm proud of their actions, and we're going to continue to investigate with the multi-jurisdictional team.
Colonel, do you know how many officers required treatment in the hospital?
I don't have an exact number. We sent several officers there just to be evaluated.
And we had heard reports there were maybe as many as 50 shots fired out of this scene. Is that your understanding?
We know multiple shots were fired. We don't have a number. That's part of the investigation.
Was one person medevaced to a hospital?
No, there was nobody medevaced to my knowledge.
Colonel, at St. Anne's, was it an officer that spotted the vehicle because of the bolo that went out?
It was an off-duty dispatcher who radioed into Cranston Police Headquarters, which caused the officers to respond and try to engage the suspect.
How dangerous a situation was this?
Well, obviously, anytime there's handguns involved and rounds being fired, it's always a dangerous situation. That's why we're very fortunate that nobody was injured and the suspect was killed at this location.
Mr. Harrison brandished a handgun?
That's correct.
What officer from which department fired the shot?
We're not going to name the officers at this time. I can tell you officers from Cranston Police Department, several officers, as well as the Providence Police Department, believe to have fired rounds at the suspect.
And you mentioned this is a multi-agency investigation. Who is the lead? Is it the AG's office that's kind of the lead focus on this?
Yes, the state police and attorney generals, and because we have people that are involved in it, we'll be an assisting role.
And this ties in with the Johnston shooting?
That's correct, and Chief Vieira is here. He can speak to that particular incident, unless you have more questions for me before I have him come
Colonel,
up.
do you believe that the handgun that he pointed at police here in Cranston, was that the same handgun used in the Johnston incident?
That's part of the investigation. We do not know at this time. Any other questions for me?
Can we ask Colonel Vieira?
Yes.
Was Mr. Harrison known to law enforcement before this? Did he have a previous criminal history, anything like that?
I'll let Chief Vieira answer that question as well.
Okay. Remind us
So-
your first name.
Mark Vieira, Chief of Police, the Johnston Police Department. So at 7:30, around 7:30 this morning, officers responded to Ligian Court in Johnston after we received 2 911 calls of shots fired in the area. Upon arrival, officers located 3 shooting victims, 2 of which were deceased, and 1 was a 15-year-old juvenile female who sustained non-threatening injuries, non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect was no longer on scene, so it was at that time that we put the bolo out to surrounding agencies with the vehicle that he was operating in his description, as well as a photo.
And we had just been asking the chief for Cranston, Mr. Harrison, was he known to Johnston Police Department? Did he have a criminal history, things of that nature?
So to my knowledge, he did not have a criminal record in Rhode Island, and we never arrested him for any criminal offenses.
Chief, were Johnston Police called to that neighborhood last night on a report of some nature?
Yeah, so that's part of the ongoing investigation, and I'm not going to comment on that right now.
Fair to say it's a domestic situation?
That's still under investigation.
And
As far as the relationship, it was the neighbors.
The neighbor.
The neighbor, yes.
the neighbor, I'm sorry, the neighbor what?
The suspect in this case
Is the neighbor?
was a neighbor of one of the shooting victims next door.
Right.
You don't know the nature of that dispute?
I do not.
What-
It's still under investigation.
What time were police called to that street last night for that, do you know?
Around midnight,
Around midnight?
yes.
Okay. And can you tell us, what was his demeanor at midnight when Johnston Police responded?
I'm not aware, and it's still part of the ongoing investigation.
Had there been,
the victims at the scene in Johnston?
I'm sorry?
Can you speak to the victims at the scene in Johnston?
Have I?
Yeah, well, yeah. Can you speak to that a little further?
The victim? Yeah, so it was 2 adults. One was located in the residence at number 2, Ligian Court. There was another adult victim located at number 4, which is also the residence of the suspect. And the third victim was the 15-year-old juvenile out of number 2, where she also resided.
Chief, can I just ask you, what led, who made the phone call that brought police to the street last night? Was it just someone in the neighborhood, or was it specifically?
Residence of number 2, Ligian Court.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know who can speak to this, but this is pretty chaotic in terms of, traffic and roads blocked off. Chief, how long is this scene going to be active here? Are we going to expect this to affect rush hour traffic tonight? Will this be bleeding over into tomorrow morning? I mean, just describe to me what kind of the steps are throughout your day to gather information.
Yeah, it could potentially affect traffic later on. I mean, they have to follow the protocol and do a thorough investigation. That's multi-agency, so.
Anybody else want to add anything? Steve?
Chief, do we know how many gunshots were fired at the scene of the crime this morning? What were you looking at?
We do not. We do not. This time, I don't know.
We get Chief
The only
Perez.
thing I'd like to add is that
You can step up to the...
there is no danger to the public. This is an isolated and contained scene, so there's no danger to the public. That's
We
all.
get Chief Perez just to step up about the pursuit through Providence this morning.
Yes, we got a call earlier today in the city of Providence about a pursuit done by Cranston Police. Obviously, we heard about the incident that occurred in Johnston. It's unfortunate. My heart goes out. My condolences to the families. This is a multi-jurisdictional investigation. Like Colonel Winquist, I think, covered pretty much everything that occurred this morning. But I'll tell you, the best thing is that our officers are okay. The officers are okay. And the person that was responsible for this incident is dead and is killed. So to that point, I just got to say the outstanding police work that occurred today, the effort and the cooperation between ourselves, the state police, the Attorney General's office, and that's what we do when incidents like this happen that shock the conscience. We take action, and that's what happened today. The heroes were the officers that responded and were able to do their job as professionals as they can. So.
Can we get a rep from the AG's office to kind of walk us through what happens next? Because obviously this is through multiple towns. State police is now involved. Your office is involved. Can you just identify your title, your name and title?
Sure. Adi Goldstein, Deputy Attorney General. As Chief Winquist said earlier, because this is an officer-involved shooting, the Attorney General's review protocol has been invoked, and we are leading and involved in this investigation together with the state police, with the cooperation of the Providence Police Department, Cranston Police Department, and Johnston Police Department. So we just go through the investigation. It's going to be thorough. We have multiple prosecutors involved in it already and on scene. The Chief of the Criminal Division, Steve Dambrook, was one of the first on the scene here today. And we're just going to do what we need to do in all of these cases. I cannot speak to the timeline. Yeah, thanks.